conversations. Let's have real conversations.
Get ready to stir it up.
Life events and everything in between. Let's go.
Get ready to stir it up.
No capping. If guests got you covered right up.
Get ready to stir it up. Stir it up.
Come on.
Get ready to stir it up.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Stir It Up. Today, my guest is Kwame. Kwame's family. And it's
Hi, everyone.
It's really good to have you.
Thank you for having me here.
So, today we're going to be talking about something that's quite sensitive. It's a theme that has come up in a lot of the conversations we've been having in this couch over the last couple of episodes. And it's why men don't talk. That was not a deep enough sigh. And you're gonna attempt to speak for as many men as possible, but from your perspective, obviously, right? So thank you for being here.
Okay.
And let's kick it.
Okay.
So, do you wanna, let's start from, do you agree with the thought that men don't share as much?
I think that only holds true really when it's like maybe the opposite sex type of thing, because men talk with other men. Okay. We do. Depending on how the relationship is, where, you know, we allow ourselves to be vulnerable. We talk about whatever it is that's going on at home, whether it's in school, work. We do. Like, men feel more comfortable talking to other men than they probably will even a sister, a wife, any of those things. And I also wonder why. So maybe we'll get the answer after our conversation.
So, it's interesting that you say men talk to other men, because I have heard some guys say that some guys be surprised when they find things out about their other friends. So let's talk about men with their relationships with other guys.
Okay.
Are those deeply connected relationships? Or are those relationships where the connections are
Superficial?
Or what's the level of connection with men to other men?
Okay, so I think for me, from my own personal experience, what I found is the people I'm able to be vulnerable with are the people who are maybe like childhood friends, that even if we've gone times apart, when, you know, they've done whatever it is, but when we reconnect, like there's this childhood trust among men that kind of like, it continues, you know, and then that person knows how you grew up, they know your parents, if maybe you went to school together, there's this comfort level thing that you have. It's harder to talk to people that you met through work or, you know, maybe in a social club or any of those things, because that element of judgment comes in the back of your mind, because you're always thinking this person doesn't really know me, and what if I overshare, or what I tell them, because they didn't know how my childhood was or how we were in secondary school or whatever it may be, they're gonna judge me by it. So it's like even though you want to share like we do, but it's like you have to be careful. And it's always something playing in your mind, you know, of you walk on eggshells even with who you can even tell something to. Culturally, we're supposed to just be mute, or if something is bothering you, you just keep quiet about it. Like, men are not vulnerable and not emotional and not, you're just robotic. So it always goes to the people that know you for a long time. That's the only people you can probably maybe take the mask off around. For me personally, I find it very difficult to be vulnerable with anybody I've known in the last 5 years. More, I can talk to people I've known for 20 or more that are close. Even that is still tricky.
Got it. So what I hear you say is that you're able to be vulnerable with people who know you, who know your past a little bit more.
Yes.
Intimately.
Yes.
Okay. So circling to the conversation around men talking to other men. So let's say that you're able to find someone you're able to connect with. How easy is it for a man to share his fears, his struggles, his anxieties, his deepest, darkest with another man?
It has to be a two-way street. And even though you might not look at it that way, it's kind of like you are vulnerable with me, I can be vulnerable with you. Like, I know something about you, right, that you probably don't want.
We are trading.
Yes.
Okay.
Right? We're trading secrets, okay, if you look at it that way.
Okay.
If it's one-sided, there's always that sense of they'll use that against me.
It's weaponized.
Yes. Right?
And no one wants anyone to weaponize anything against them.
No way. So if we're sharing and we'll be, oh, this is what's going on in my home, this is what's going on at work, this is what's going on in my marriage, whatever it is, then we share, right? But if it becomes more like a therapy thing, I'm not going to tell you anything.
So, but why would a man share? Do you share to find a solution? Why would you? So let's create a fictitious friend for you. What do you want your friend to be called? Kwesi. So you have friend Kwesi.
Mm-hmm.
What would make you share your anxieties or your fears or your challenges with Kwesi?
At its core, it's two things. That he will tell me something, one, I don't want to hear, and I would know he's being sincere and honest with me about it. And two, actually probably that's even more important, is there will be no judgment.
You're absolutely right. I think judgment is a big thing because we're always afraid that people would judge us and be critical.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even, because even before you share, you're thinking to yourself, okay, who does he know? Who will he talk to? What would his react? It's like you have to check all these boxes in your head before you say what you want to say, right? Yeah. So it's hard to have more than one or two people with that type of, and it's a form of intimacy. It's like one or two people where you could pick up the phone at any time, but where are you? I need your brain on this, or I need to pick your brain on something, or I just need a vent, or I just need to talk, right? I don't know anybody that probably has more than one or two people that they have that kind of relationship with, where when you flip it, women usually have multiple people, and it's like they have different things they discuss with different people. We don't have that. It's like whether it has to do with business, whether it has to do with marriage, whether it has to do with family, you offload to one person.
More likely to have one person.
And now talking about it, I don't necessarily know if that's even a healthy thing to do, because you're saddling the next person with everything, right?
So I have this thing I say, and I might get into a lot of trouble with this, right? But I'm going to say it. A friend of mine called Nana and I were talking, and she said she's always wondered how any person who was in a relationship with me would cope. just because I have so many deep relationships, both with men and women. And she thinks that anyone who's in a relationship with me will struggle with that, right? And she's right, because I'm not a superficial person, as you know. And I make reference to this because throughout my life, up until maybe the last 5-6 years, most of my closest relationships have been with men. None of which have been in any way or form sexual or anything, but really close relationships. And what I find is I always challenge the fact that men don't talk.
We do. It's just, you have to be not afraid that that person is going to judge you.
And so that's the point I'm about to make, right? So when I hear people say men don't talk, I agree, because it's one of those mass generalizations that have become a truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't be like a lone messiah in the desert saying men talk, men talk. But in reality, I find that a lot of the guys I know talk a lot and share a lot. But that's been my experience.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Please ask, yeah.
Will you say that is also because maybe psychologically or whatever, your makeup or how you even approach life has more of a motherly, comforting thing to it than anything? And I say that because even from my personal experience of talking, with you or sharing with you, I think that for a guy to even feel that comfortable, you have to have that person. Like there's a love thing of, that person, the person you're sharing with cares, pass your bullshit. You say some things that they're probably going to get upset with, but at the end of the day, they're still going to corral you and say, okay, well, I hear you, but maybe let's try it like this. That's a quality that you have that I can tell you, if I pick 10 other people, I'm probably not going to get that from them, because immediately there's again.
So I hear you on that. I would say that, so I hear you.
It's a skill you've developed too.
True.
Will you agree?
I agree.
Listening.
So I listen. That I know. I'm
Okay.
good at listening,
Okay.
right? I can sit and just listen to someone for a long time.
Okay.
I'm good at cutting through the bullshit, right? So I'm good at listen, accommodate, and filter through, okay, this is how you're feeling about this, validate where validation needs, and being able to filter through, okay, so is this the point where, and knowing when to be absolutely honest, and knowing when, okay, this is all the person needs is validation, right? So I guess I know that. And the one thing I've also learned is not to be critical of people. I guess the people who suffer from me being critical are my partners. And I guess it's...
And family too.
And family. And I guess that's normal, in the sense that the people closest to you will bear the brunt of you being...
Blunt,
right? Whereas...
And we appreciate it.
Well, thank you. But I guess that's what happens, right?
But you have to also learn how to listen when you're sharing, like with somebody like you, right? Yeah. You have to have the understanding that if you're willing to open up, what comes back, you have to take it in too.
Absolutely.
Do you understand?
Absolutely.
Like,
Yes.
if I'm coming to tell you something, okay, like this and this is what is going on, I need to also be emotionally open, or mentally even, to say, okay, she's not probably going to tell me what I want to hear, but whatever it is that she's saying, I need to.
No, but my friends know that. My friends know I'll never tell you what you want to hear.
But sometimes that's why we don't talk. Okay,
No,
because we don't hear what we want to hear.
No, but I hear you on that. But my friends talk to me, right? And I guess the conversation that's going to come to you is men actually talk. But the question I have is, where you hear the most about men not talking is in their intimate relationships, I think.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what is it about our intimate relationships? What is it about us as women that we do, that we should begin to look at doing differently, that doesn't allow our partners to talk to us? Because I'll tell you something, right? My friends, I have friends who have an affair and will tell me, and they're guilty, they feel bad, right? And they're struggling with it. And it's not something they are proud of in any way, shape, or form, right? And I don't condone it, but I will listen, okay? And we'll talk about it. And at the end of the day, the question I'll always ask is, so what are you gonna do? And that's the question I always ask, right? Or I have a friend who's battling with whether a child is his child or not,
Okay.
right? And he's been thinking about it for a long time. And we'll talk about it. And I'll say, but have you asked the question? What are you gonna do? Or someone who's saying, for example, okay, I'm no longer in love with my partner. What do I do, right? So men do have these conversations, and they have their own personal challenges that they are trying to navigate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they will not have these conversations openly. My question is, why not?
So there's a funny cliche in America among guys, right? When like a relationship hits a snag, there's usually this saying is like, I'm gonna have him go talk to the lady. Or if the guy messes up, he'll tell the girl, like his girlfriend or his wife, I'm gonna go talk to the lady, as in like a therapist or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So it goes back to what you're saying is, you can't talk to your partner, right? But the joke is that if you go talk to maybe a therapist or somebody else, you might get enough knowledge to come back and fix what is wrong. There's so many reasons why it's hard to be vulnerable. Okay, so I take Africa, for example. The way our social construct is, men are never supposed to be vulnerable or emotional, or the only emotions we show are anger or being stoic. You're not, or maybe you'll laugh here and there, but you're not allowed to, you're not allowed to be like, man, I'm struggling. I'm having a hard time with this situation, or I feel like crying. Like somebody said something or somebody did something that hurt me, and within myself, I was just like, damn,
Women say we are tired all the time. Men never get to say they're tired.
You can't.
Got it.
It looks
Weak.
Yeah. Men look at you as being weak, and women look at you also as being weak.
But would you look at another man who says, Shalim, I'm tired? Will you look at him as being weak?
No, but you see, the reason why I won't is because I've had a good set of women around me who have taught me it's okay to be emotionally intelligent. It's okay to be, Ma, I'm struggling, or okay, I'm having a hard time with this, and just being able to be connected to your emotions, right? A lot of us don't have that. I know a lot of people, I don't think they even remember the last time they cried. Whether it's at your mom's funeral, a parent is sick, their daughter is sick, whatever it is, they have to be the tough guy all the time. And that's like a very, very heavy thing to carry all the time. You can't set it down. It's like, you gotta be macho.
do men want to be different? Or are they happy being that way? Because
we don't know. We don't know
assume-
different. Not to cut you off. We don't know what's on the other side of. A lot of people don't know what's on the other side of being emotionally intelligent, right? Just being able to connect with people on an emotional level.
No, so think about it this way. Do you feel? Okay, so take your experience, having been macho, strong, stoic, and all of that, and also, on another hand, and you are quite traditional in a lot of ways. You know that, right? So, did you just? Oh, you're looking at someone behind. No, you are quite traditional in the sense that you're very modern, but you're also very.
I have my moments.
You have your moments of being you are modern, right? Because you're very well exposed. You are exposed to lots of different cultures and different ways of thinking about things. But within our cultural construct, you also know how things should be done. Well, you've learned, if I may put it that way. You've learned how things should be
very quickly, and some of it I'm not proud of.
Got it.
Right? Because some of it I'm like, this is not you. But it's like, if you're not with that, then even your little social setting you have looks at you like you're weak.
Got it.
Right? So I've had to sometimes, because you've said to me, I might make like a silly comment, like, it's man this, and you're like, really?
Really?
Is this Kwame? You know what I mean? Then I have to catch myself. I'm like, damn, okay.
Yeah.
I need to go back to what I was, not what I'm learning. Yeah. Even at this age, you can still be influenced to
think a certain way.
Yeah. Because I didn't have that.
And it's all in the bid to be accepted and to fit in.
Yes. Yes.
So we're saying that we don't know what's on the other side of the river.
No.
That's what we're saying, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And we've seen other people go on the other side of the river.
And we've seen them being name called.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So you're like, I'm not even putting my foot in there. I'm here. I'm with the group. Until you're by yourself and you're like, damn, I guess I gotta cross the river. Let me give you an example. I don't know. This memory, it's from my dad's funeral, right? And because you were next to me, the entire process, I was nonchalant, hard, but there was a moment when I lost it, and you were there you grabbed. I don't know if you remember, right? Okay. And I had other people asking me why I was crying, like, why are you crying? Yeah. Like, what's wrong with you? Like I felt judged. Yeah. It, like in a span of a few seconds, I had like 3 different people come at me like, right? But thank you for being there, because I was overwhelmed. It wasn't even planned or any of those things, but I lost it. And a lot of us don't have the Ikea in that moment to say it's okay to cry. Mm-hmm. It's okay, right? Because it happens like that once, and you vow to yourself, I would never, ever let anybody ever see me like this again, right? So that sticks in the back of your mind. And somebody else another guy that was probably next to me or sitting will say to himself, dang, I guess I can't be vulnerable either. So it's like learned behavior, but we pick it from all the people
around us.
That's the guy thing. That's one of the, like, talking now, it's like you realize you pick a lot of experiences from watching what your other guy friends go through. Coming to Ghana and learning this, it's a different way Ghanaian men do things, handle relationships, talk to people, the expectations of what the women in their lives are supposed to be, and all of those things. I didn't have that. So now looking back, a part of me has probably gotten to that place where, is this how I need to be accepted? Not just by the men in my environment, but by the woman that I'm gonna deal with. Is that what's gonna make her respect me?
Yeah.
Right? Even though what I've always known and what I always did worked for me.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden I'm like, damn, I gotta be saying no more, or having more of a stern voice rather than, oh, what did you say? Oh, sit down, let's talk about it.
What's he saying?
You know, so it's self-reflection. I think what I've gotten out of this is like, we always have to take that time to be able to, am I going down the right path? But if I don't have somebody like you to tell me, hey, Kwame, come back.
Yeah.
Right? Then you can't, there's nobody to talk to. Like, I know a lot of guys that are going through things and they're self-medicating, like they're, with alcohol. I know people that nobody will even know alcohol, like they're functioning alcoholics.
Yeah.
Right?
Many.
People don't talk about it. There are people who are gambling. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
The coping mechanisms, isn't it?
right? So, and you could tell that they're saddled with something, because every once in a while they go, right? Oh,
Well, homie.
bro. But when you say what's wrong, they're like, nah, it's cool, don't worry, I'll be all right, or I got this. And they don't.
One of my guests from last season asked a very, very stir-it-up question.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, are women ready for men to be vulnerable? And when he asked the question, I didn't see it coming, because you know I don't prep for these things, but say I have my 4 questions and we start the conversation. And my answer was no, because I don't think we are. For the reasons that you talk about, we expect men to be a certain way, providers, stoic, strong, you know, don't cry, don't show emotion, all of those things. The question that I challenged, you know, later on when we had the side conversation was, do women even want men to be vulnerable? You know, there might be the 1% like me who want men to be open and honest with us. And that's because, for me, that's when I feel like I'm in a relationship that's meaningful, right? But the reality is that maybe people don't want that, right? And it will be good to understand from your perspective as a man, what do you want, right? What do you want? Do you want to be able to come home to your partner and say, whew, now that was a day? And talk about that day in no uncertain terms and exactly how you felt across the day, both positive and negative feelings? Or do you want to come home and keep all of that in? What do you want?
So we want the first part, which is to be able to be vulnerable. I think for us men, in the process of dating, right? Sometimes you might have a connection with somebody, and you know, you might even expose your family to them. You have this whole sense of vulnerability. Like the person you're dating, the girl can call your mom, they could go to your parents' house while you're not there, and all these different things. But when the relationship turns sideways, right? What comes out of it, of the things that you probably have shared with them in intimate moments or in quiet moments, it's like, I don't know if it's society that has made it, and I'm seeing it now even more with like the advent of social media, of things that people felt like they were talking to other people in confidence with, has become things that people want to now put out to laugh at you or make you look like, oh, when I used to date him, he was weak. And so men are closing up more. And even though we want to be able to have a friend who I can come home and talk about how my day sucked, or how good it was, or who was bothering me, or what do they think about this investment, or whatever it is. Like, you want to be able to talk about religion, politics, what's going on in your family, your siblings. You want to be able to do all of that. But I think it also takes a certain type of person who, even when you fall out,
Will not weaponize those things against you.
yes, and even if you're dating somebody else, like, they're gonna go out of their way to try to make that person know 1 or 2 moments of your week. Like, there's this, I don't know if it's weird, but there's this whole thing that's changed now, right? And so one thing that guys are even doing that we never probably did before, well, now you make a conscious effort to date outside of the person you last dated's friend group, circle, tribe, all of that. You want somebody completely different because you don't want their paths
To cross.
to cross.
Hey, but that's going to be hard, in this Accra town.
You see, because that's hard, then now what happens is that people don't have meaningful relationships anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'm not about to come and be vulnerable with you when I know if I'm not dating you anymore and I go and meet this person, that person will go and tell them. There's this whole thing. And so guys are all cagey. We're like, oh yeah, work was all right. You know, go play golf, maybe talk to somebody else about it, but we're not talk at home. And I think a part of it is also even on the women. If they understood how powerful they can be, right? By just letting, and people don't understand, but if a man is comfortable and he can talk to you about anything, you get probably one of the best people that you ever have as a friend, because everything is so spontaneous. Yeah. And you don't feel like anything you bring up, you get judged by it, or if something hurts you, because you're human. Yeah. You know, sometimes you could be the boss, but your assistant can do or say something that can hurt you. Like, maybe you're even treating them bad, and just bringing it up, and the realization, like, oh, I've been mean to this person. Yeah. Right? Because sometimes even how we're wired, we don't even know how to say, oh,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Or, so we have we don't have a lot of relationships that are like huggy. It's very friction, and you know, it's I want that for us men, you know. And I don't know, maybe because of my mom, my sister raising me, you, my third mom. I love women because they make you happy. Like, you're able to just talk. You know, it's cool to talk to guys too, but women always give you the truth.
I think that when you find, maybe let me rephrase this. When you find the right partner or the right person, and you build the right connections and different points of connections with a person, you have an opportunity to have something that has longevity. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to women, women give a lot and women multiply a lot.
Okay.
Unless the person is there to just take, or is there to treat you like an indentured slave or to use you, which exists, right? Because there are women who are there who just think that a man is there to be a provider and nothing else. So hopefully those are not the women we're talking about. We're talking about...
In the majority, though. Something has changed. I don't know what's influencing people, but something has changed. Whether it's men older than me, whether it's men my age in their 40s or men younger, something has changed at the way we all relate
to
women. And so you ask that question, that your friend said, are they ready to even hear us be vulnerable? Right?
And it's how we are both raised, isn't it? Because the thing is, this is how and I've talked about this quite a bit. A lot of the time, and I want to say the female is raised in a way where sex is currency. And you are meant to be taken care of, right? And so that's what you bring to the table. I think that's changing in some instances. But we need to also kind of get our daughters to know that they are independent and they can do whatever they set their mind to. We need to take away the limiting belief that as a woman you need a man to take care of you. I mean, you definitely need, we also don't want women to think that they don't need a man. That's also a belief I don't necessarily subscribe to. I think that you need partnerships, right, to thrive.
Okay. So in a nutshell, you're saying we need balance.
We need balance.
Because there's no in-between. And I'm sure I speak for a lot of men.
Yeah.
See, there's a very submissive, don't say much, doesn't really care about much, or overbearing.
Yes.
To a point where you don't even want to go home. I know a lot of people like that. Trust me. You go to you meet them there.
Oh, that's where they are. Well, okay, carry on.
They go home to sleep and wake up.
Yes.
You
In the
know what I
morning
mean?
and 6 o'clock they're out. Got it.
And you're like, nah. Hey, what did you feel? Nah.
Mary kebab no more that.
Like they don't eat breakfast at home, they don't eat dinner at home, but they're in a marriage relationship and they're okay with it.
Yeah.
Right? And they're like, oh, whatever my family needs, or whatever they need, I'll give it to them, whatever she wants. Right? And then you also have the use, wear multiple hats, go-getter. It's also not easy to date you, a person like you. Because you also intimidate people, women. So, it's like, it's all about what the guy can really deal with. No,
I'm just making fun. No,
I know.
I can
but
understand
you know
that.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's all about matching energy.
Yes.
Right? If a person is overbearing, but you figure out how to deal with them because you want to know why it is that they have so much energy and they're always so strong-headed about things, there's a way to deal with a person like that. But a lot of the times, we always think we can change people.
No, we really can't.
Right?
People need to decide they want to be different for themselves.
Yeah, and so you're like, oh, I met her, she was like this, and maybe I can change her. So you hear some of my friends saying, oh, man, she's hella timid. I can't even get her to do any business. And everything I style for her, it fails, right? And then you also have the other people saying, she don't know when to shut up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you made an active choice to deal with one or the other.
Yeah.
But you need to self-reflect and be like, okay, what can I deal with? What excites me? What will I get tired of?
Yeah.
Instead of it being like, okay, she's like very strong-headed, but maybe I can calm her down, or I can take that edge off of her. And then you realize like, hey.
Wait there. I've bitten.
More than I can chew.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? So we need to have discernment. Is that how you say it? Like have better judgment.
No, we need to have a board meeting with ourselves.
Yeah, like what
with our own personal board of directors and decide what we want.
Yeah, like what am I really willing to deal with?
Yeah.
You know? Because once you figure that out, talking to the person, being vulnerable with all those things are not an issue anymore, because like there's this, and I think maybe even being friends with a person also is important. Because if you can't be friends with a person outside the physical attraction or whatever it is, you can't feel comfortable talking to them.
So, things we've got to do to get men to be more open are things like removing the judgment.
Number one.
Number one. It's how we raise our boys. Be a lot more, allow them to show emotion as children.
Yes. Because not to cut you off, but so many young boys are not allowed to cry. You even get beaten more when you cry.
Jaisu! Yeah.
That's a tap. Some people get whipped for crying.
Yeah. I know.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you're wired. Like, but
So remove the judgment. How we raise our boys.
emotional intelligence. I don't know. Let me ask you a question. Do you think our parents are emotionally intelligent in their own way?
Our parents are on survival mode though. Our parents just needed to survive.
So we are now
I think.
relearning.
I think.
We're now we're relearning even hugging and complimenting and all these things that is very strange to our parents. So we also need to make sure we don't turn that over to our kids.
Yeah. Our parents, well, I think that, I mean, for me, I have two parents who are in two different generations. So my mom understands, is a lot more emotionally attuned than my dad was. But my dad was completely in survival mode. You know what I mean?
And I have the opposite.
Yeah.
I have dad, survival mode, mom, too in tune sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, like she makes you stop to consider your feelings,
Yeah.
right? And I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that because you realize that it affects all your relationships with different people. It does. It does.
Okay.
But yeah, we still want women to be listening, more open to, because we need y'all. I don't know if y'all need us, but we need y'all.
No, we definitely need you.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It doesn't feel like it anymore.
No. Listen, this is my point of view. If you take just even families, right? It's always better to have a family where you're raising kids in a complete family. I always say that kids are more grounded when they have both parents, right? They regulate better. They are more balanced. They are more emotionally attuned. You know. So you definitely need a partner to do that, and it's always good to have a partner who helps you out, right? Whether it's and it's also good to always have a partner to share the load, and the load is a financial load. It's and I had a conversation about about just even the mental load of things, right? It's good to have someone who you share the load of what you're thinking with, you know. So yes, you do need that. And then on the flip side, it's also important for companionship. Nobody wants to be alone.
You
know,
sure?
so of course. Do you want to be alone?
Absolutely not.
No, right? Nobody wants to be alone. Apart from companionship, there's also the element of there's just carnal desires, right? Well, you didn't realize that. What did be firewood? No, right? The sexual desires. So I think that at the end of the day, human beings were not created to be in isolation or to be alone, you know. And for me, we are only balanced if everybody's getting what they want out of a relationship. And we know how suicide rates are up.
I was just about to say, this whole thing ties into mental health.
You know, and so at the end of the day, we don't want just one sex thriving and being happy. And, you know, how do we create the balance that allows women to thrive, but also men to thrive, you know?
So for somebody with the kind of job you have, do you think maybe moving forward, you're gonna take on projects, whether it's in advertising or whatever it is, that as powerful as messages that you can put out, will you make a conscious effort to make society understand that men have feelings too? Is that something?
Wherever the opportunity lies, absolutely.
Okay.
So, I mean, I remember somebody asked if I was a feminist, and I said, hey, I'm a human being. Let's just leave it there, right?
Okay.
And for me, my point of view is that as women, we've talked a lot, and we've been on the rooftops, and we've been heard, and we've shouted a lot. And that has kind of drowned out a lot of the voices of men in a lot of ways. And I'll give you an example. In one of my podcasts from last season, I used the expression when Sonny talked about women ready to hear, for men to be vulnerable. I said, we are not, but let's work on getting men to be vulnerable. But in parallel, let's work on empowering women to be ready. Aish, the internet came from me. And I said, I don't mean empowering women in a, a luta continua way. I meant, let's get women to be ready, right?
Have the tools to be able to help us
Yes.
when I need to be able to talk to you.
Exactly.
And whether it takes reading, listening to Tony Robbins, whatever it may be.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank
so when
you.
I decide, like, look, hey, can I
When
talk
my
to
man
you?
decides to cry, I'm not like, hey, stop crying, right? My response then is, how do I respond to him in a way that's healthy, in a way that doesn't emasculate him, in a way that makes him feel like I've got his back, right? In a way that allows him to come back to me, right? Because the truth is that I should be his safe space. Nothing else. That's my job.
Yeah.
Right? And vice versa. He should be my safe space. Right? And that's what I meant by it. And so, just to answer your question, I think that I'm a human being first, and I want the world to be, I want us all to be tooled right, so that we all have a fair chance of thriving in the world.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm sure
Thank
we're
you.
way over time,
Yeah.
but thank
But
you.
this was therapeutic.
All right. So to the fun part of this, after this intense conversation, is cocktails. And I've made you a cocktail. As per house rules, you're required to tell me one thing that's in your cocktail. There you go. Oh, so you learned to smell. Go for it, let's see.
Fruity. What fruit is this? Is it the?
We need to put a time on this.
Is it the mixed medley?
There is not a mixed medley in there. I can say that with confidence. And we do not mention brands.
Sorry?
Yeah, but you can say mixed medley, but there's no mixed medley there. And remember, you're the reigning champion, so you've got a title to protect.
It's tart. I'm trying to figure out what that taste is. It's not apple.
We're stirring it up. You know, I need a full-time job mixing these cocktails, right?
Okay, so there's vodka in here.
There's no vodka in there.
No?
You've got 2 tries. Here we go. And then I'm now giving the list, which you're going to blank out. There's in there, there's in there, and
That's
there
what
is
that was.
brandy in there.
It's not
There's tonic water. Whoop, whoop.